Your daily dose of sports talk is here. Highlights, interviews, and analysis. From the entertainment capital of the world, Sports Wrap with Jason Page starts now.
Yes, it does, and so great to be with you on this Thursday edition of the show. So much to do over the next 60 minutes on over 270 affiliates across the U.S. and Canada. We appreciate you being here. We welcome our friends watching on YouTube on the Sports Wrap with Jason Page YouTube channel. You too are welcome. We've got Sam Yarnell hanging out with us today, and that's it, because we wanted to talk some NFL, and I thought Sam and I needed some alone time to do that. So we've got some fun NFL stuff that we're going to get into in the show. Idiot or genius, genius or idiot. One prediction from each of us. We'll do buy, sell, hold on a few different NFL teams. You're not going to want to miss any of that. Enes Kanter is back in the news because he's Enes Kanter and he needs to be in the news. He's just starved for attention. We'll get to that. More bad news for LIV Golf that we'll talk about a little later in the show, as well as a couple of NFL notes. And speaking of the NFL, that is where we begin things today in the big story. And the big story is presented by the World Series of Golf.
Golf. Poker. One champion. The World Series of Golf. Every shot is a bet. Every hole is a hand. Anyone can win. Play for a shot at $250K. Register today at WSG.golf.
Yes, indeed, it is the World Series of Golf, and we want you to take part in it. Satellite Series events taking place on September 1st and the 2nd at your local Topgolfs. Which Topgolf, you may be asking? Well, you got to check, because it's being held at different places, different locations. We've got the locations up there for you on the screen. You can see them for yourself. 30 different locations in 11 states that are holding satellite events for the World Series of Golf, combining poker and golf. It's going to be so much fun. I wish they had it here in Vegas. We're not one of the locations. Otherwise, I'd be doing it. I can tell you that much. Make sure to check out the World Series of Golf. Use my promo code SPORTSWRAP and get a sweet discount on your entry. All right, let's talk some NFL. And on this day, the reason I want to talk about the NFL is kind of something different. I don't do a lot of interviews. Not that I'm not asked to. I'm not a fan after doing everything I do on this show every day and all the work that goes into this. I don't do a ton of interviews. But there is one place that I like to go on, and it's here locally because we owe a lot to Las Vegas. They've embraced us. They've welcomed us. We're on here in the market on a few different stations, take the show. And one of them is the great folks over at Silver State Sports and Entertainment Network. And they have a great show every day, Silver State Sports Live. They obviously are covering the Raiders. They asked me to come on the show yesterday and talk about the Raiders' final preseason game. And I kind of scratched my head because I'm like, what is there really to talk about? It's the final preseason game. And then as I started to think about it, there is a lot to talk about, but not in the sense that you think. It's the 51st, 52nd, 53rd guy trying to fight for that last roster spot. You know, they only get to carry 53 guys. You're trying to fight for that last roster spot. So while to us it's just a last throwaway game, maybe Kirk Cousins will start, maybe Fernando Mendoza will start, to these guys who have played their whole lives, think about this for a second. This final week of the NFL preseason, which is going to kick off here tonight and tomorrow and over the weekend, the final games, and then you get the final cuts made. Think about having competed your entire life, from a little kid playing football all the way up through high school, through college, getting into these training camps, and literally your livelihood coming down to one preseason game that most people don't even care about. Unless you're a gambler, and if you're gambling on the final preseason game, bless your heart. But we often think about football in terms of, you know, our fantasy teams and the stars that we're going to draft and all of this. For these guys this weekend, this is it. It's the difference between being on an NFL roster on week 1, or being on a practice squad, or not being in the NFL at all and having to go back to whatever 9 to 5 is your backup plan. And for a lot of these guys, let's face it, there aren't a lot of backup plans. And then having to grind it out and try to figure out a way into this league, or the CFL, or an arena league, or the UFL, or whatever it is. So as you sit here this week and start to, put together plans for your fantasy football team, or your futures bets, or whatever it's going to be, keep a thought for these guys that are trying to grind it out to make it into the league. Some underdog stories that we always talk about, and we've talked about. We have actually a great sports rap original up on the YouTube channel where you can go find guys that weren't even expected to ever be in the league who turned out to be some of the biggest stars. Go and check that out on the YouTube channel. I'm thinking about those guys this weekend. We're thinking about you. And whatever position you're in, hopefully you get an opportunity to play in this league. Big story number 1. Big story number 2. The NFL announcing today that DraftKings, FanDuel, they're back partnering with the league as betting partners. And now there's a third one that's been added in. Welcome Fanatics Sportsbook to the mix in being able to work with the NFL this season in terms of promoting their sportsbook and promoting the NFL through their sportsbook. It always makes me laugh, though, because at the same time, at the NFL will sit here and tell you, we're doing everything we can to try and stop sports betting within the NFL and making sure that everything is on the up and up and everything's untoward. They continue to sign these deals that tell you the priority is trying to make money for the league. Ultimately, that's the bottom line. Is the bottom line and trying to make money for the league. And while they'll try to tell you that safety is paramount and we're trying to make sure to cut down on concussions, and look, they've tried to do things within the rules to do that. At the same time, out of the other side of their mouth, they'll sit there and tell you, yeah, but we want to expand the season by another regular season game, which does anything but promote safety in the long run for these guys who are going at it so hot and heavy throughout the season. Just something to think about. Big story number 2. Okay, as I've said, we've got plenty of NFL to do in the show today. We've got buy, sell, and hold from the NFL. One team of each. Sam Yarnell will be here. We'll get into that. Plus, we've got one prediction to make that can either make us look like a genius or an absolute idiot. That's coming up a little later on. News on the Pro Bowl. If you like the Pro Bowl games, they're going away. And some other news from around the league. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to the show. I said we'd do a lot of NFL on the show today, and I am a man of my word. Buy, sell, and hold. One team to buy. One, we are ditching their stock, and the other, just going to stand pat. Sam Yarnell is here. Buy, sell, and hold preseason edition. We'll do this throughout the regular season as well. All right, Sam, I will give you the first buy.
Buy! All right, yeah. So this is quite the exercise. There are a bazillion different directions you can go with this. So I chose to go the NFC North route. You could pick quite literally any team in the NFC North and do all three of these things with it. So for the buy, I just closed my eyes and pointed to literally a random team in the NFC North. So I will be buying the Detroit Lions. And now, Jason, it is a great time to buy on the Detroit Lions. This is a team that is just a year removed from an NFC Championship berth. This is a Detroit Lions team that, I mean, my goodness, they've had nothing but expectations around them for 5 years at this point? It really feels like it's only been a matter of time until the Detroit Lions have the success that we've kind of been assuming they've had for the last 3 years. So I'm going to buy the Detroit Lions. It feels like, and this will play more when I get into my sell, it's a do or die year for the Detroit Lions. It feels like if they don't get it done this year, if they don't make serious noise in the playoffs, they don't actually get to that NFC Championship game, instead of getting upset by a team like Washington again, this is the year where they have to make the noise, kind of, go to the bathroom or get off the toilet, as the saying goes, I believe.
Spit or get off the pot. All right, Sam, I'll go with the Cincinnati Bengals. And it might be my favorite buy because the defense was the thing holding Cincinnati back, and they've added Dexter Lawrence. They've added Jonathan Allen to a defensive front now that has enough depth. And final cuts are actually kind of difficult for them. If the Bengals have even an average defense, a lot like the Cowboys, aren't they a legit Super Bowl team in the AFC? I'm buying. I'll take the Bengals. All right, give me a sell, Sam Yarnell.
Sell.
Ooh, I like the. Hold on, I like the sound of that. Give me a sell, Sam Yarnell.
Oh, you're a poet and you didn't even know it.
Yeah. What about the Bengals?
It's so
you
funny.
Make
the
fun
reason
of it?
I laugh when you say the Bengals are your buy, the Bengals are my sell. I'm not even kidding. The Bengals are my sell right now. There is so much smoke, right? And all we talk about, especially in sports, but especially in the NFL, is when there's smoke, there's fire. And it seems like over the last 10 to 15 days, all everyone can talk about is, all right, Joe Burrow is basically gone if they don't do everything besides win it all this season. It's really starting to feel like this is the beginning of the end for Cincinnati. They had that opportunity. They had two opportunities, actually, that really resonate in my mind. A year ago when they paid both of the wide receivers, or the year before that when it seemed like ownership was finally ready to invest in the team. The fact of the matter is it falls on ownership. They have not invested in the team the way that they said they would, nor the way that they should with the caliber of talent they have on it. And it does fall on ownership. But for that reason, I'm out on the Cincinnati Bengals. I can't keep doing this. I can't keep pretending that Joe Burrow is this amazing quarterback when he hasn't been in the playoffs in how many years? He's been in the playoffs, twice in his entire career? That one miracle Super Bowl run from a few years ago is really doing the Lord's work at this point. I'm out on the Cincinnati Bengals.
Sell.
All right, we clearly disagree on that one since I have them as a buy and you have them as a sell. It's good to know we're simpatico. I'm going to go for my sell, the New England Patriots.
Sell.
And to me, I think it's the easiest sell out there. Last year, the weak schedule that they were able to take advantage of. And, I think the odds makers kind of agree, by the way. They opened around 1,500 after reaching the Super Bowl. Now that's about 2,000 in some markets. That's actually interesting if you look at that. The betting market is already a bit skeptical when we talk about the Patriots. And there's a good chance, I was just looking at their schedule tag, there's a good chance they're 1-3 after week 4. I mean, they got the Seahawks on the road to open, home for the Steelers, that's no layup, at the Jaguars and at the Bills to start the season. And you're 1-3, and all of a sudden the questions and the doubt starts to creep in, and this thing could spin wildly out of control. I'll have more to say about this when we get into our bigger predictions next week on the show, and you will want to watch that. I think they're going to be 1-3 through the first 4 games of the season. I have the Patriots as a sell. You're old, Sam Yarnell.
I'll just say this real quick on the Patriots. That week 4 game in Buffalo, coming off the year where they stole the division from the Bills.
Do or die.
The Bills are going to want to put up 47 points in that game. The Bills are going to want to score 70. They're going to want to score 10 touchdowns on the New England Patriots. That game could get ugly fast. That could be... hot take Thursday. That could be the beginning of the end for Mike Vrabel.
Wow.
All right, my hold. This is a weird one, right? I'm going back to the AFC North. Everyone's gonna hate me for this, and whatever. Blame me. I don't care. I'm holding the Cleveland Browns. That defense is so good. Everybody is talking about the quarterback situation. I get it. I'm not saying that we shouldn't be. We very much should be. It is a disaster of a quarterback situation. This team, Joe Flacco took this team to the playoffs freaking 3 years ago with a very similar defense. This is a team in the Cleveland Browns that, listen, they're not going to win 10 games. Not saying that at all. But I'm holding Cleveland Browns stock because it feels like just about everybody right now thinks that that's a 3-win football team. And I'm here to tell you, especially in the AFC North of all divisions, that is certainly not a 3-win football team. I'm holding Cleveland Browns stock, Jason. I know that people are going to ring me for it. The quarterback situation is a complete disaster. I'm holding their stock because of the defense. That team can still win games.
Rock Sports and Entertainment. Hello, we see you in Cleveland. Sam Yarnell has your Browns as a hold. My hold's going to be the Kansas City Chiefs. And this one to me is an interesting argument because Kansas City is roughly plus 1,500, plus 1,600, I think, if last time I looked, to win the Super Bowl, with Patrick Mahomes trying to work his way back. I'm not sold as much as our friend Matt Verderam, who came on the show. I'm not as sold on the idea of them being, this 12-win team. He thinks they're like a 12-win team, 13-win team. I don't see it yet. It could get there, but I don't see it yet. I know they're going to have a rushing attack they haven't had for a long time, and that certainly is going to help take some of the load off of Patrick Mahomes. But I'm also not buying KC based on solely, Mahomes is going to figure it out because he's Mahomes. So I'm in the hold category. Another team I would put potentially in there, by the way, as a hold, and this might surprise some people, Seattle, who feels like an afterthought in their own division right now. Buy, sell, and hold. We've given you all of them. We've got more NFL to get to, including genius or idiot predictions. Those are next. There is other news to get to from the NFL. We'll get to it coming up in 10 minutes. Sam Yarnell, continuing our NFL edition of the show on this Thursday. I thought this one would be fun. Not that we don't do this every day in some way, shape, or form. But I said, I want to hear one prediction, Sam Yarnell. That one prediction that could make or break you. This is the one where we throw it in the vault, lock it up, and get ready to bust it out, depending at what point of the season we need to bust it out to make fun of each other. NFL genius or idiot predictions. Give me one prediction that, when all is said and done, Sam, will either make you look like a genius, the mad scientist of NFL talk, or an absolute idiot, like Enes Kanter looks every day of his life.
I had to throw that one in there.
Have at
it. Gosh, wow, derailed me a little bit there with that.
Gotcha. I threw you off.
Back in. Jeez Louise. All right, Jason, I got to be completely honest with you. I was going to have a totally different take. A totally different take until you and I did a segment in the show earlier. And somehow or another, the Chiefs came up in conversation, and it jogged my mind a little bit. I have a better take than the one that I plan to give, so I might as well give that one, especially with us on the brink of the 2026 NFL season. I think that the gradual decline that we've seen in the career of Patrick Mahomes is going to continue this year. I think it is. You look over the last 4 seasons, it's gotten worse across the board. I mean, we're not just talking about, he's throwing for a few less yards, a few less touchdowns, a couple more. It's across the board. Interception rate is up. Touchdown rate is down. Raw touchdowns down. Raw yardage down. Completion percentage plateaued and then fell. You look at his quarterback rating year over year over the last 4 years, it's declining. I think that we may have already seen the best of Patrick Mahomes. And now I get, listen, he was the quarterback of, I don't want to say a generation because we already had that, but he was the quarterback of a good 5-year period when it comes to representing the sport and the most important position in the sport. And that's all well and good. But the fact of the matter is the guy just tore his freaking left ACL. The guy just shredded his knee in the middle of a 6-11 season where I know a lot of people want to say, they only ended up that way because of his injury. Folks, there were double digits in the weeks when he got injured. People forget about that way too quickly. It's like people think that he got injured week 4 and they went on to be 6-11 under Gardner Minshew the whole year. Folks, that is not how it worked out. This team was very much in question in terms of making the playoffs when Patrick Mahomes was still healthy. And that was a direct result of his inability to perform the way they used to be able to in a Kansas City Chiefs uniform. So listen, to me, it has become very clear and obvious on paper. I'm Obviously, we'll see how it all plays out on the field, but the decline of Patrick Mahomes is real. It's year over year, and it really feels like a lot of people, Jason, are hopeful that coming off of an ACL is when it all starts to bounce back. I just have a lot of trouble believing that. The steady decline of Patrick Mahomes continues this year.
I don't think that's outlandish. I don't think that's an outlandish prediction. I wouldn't be shocked if we got to the end of the year and we're starting to talk about, all right, what's next for the Kansas City Chiefs? When it comes to the quarterback position. I don't think that's so outlandish at all. This is going to sound weird, my genius or idiot prediction. It's going to sound weird because what I'm about to say doesn't really line up with what odds makers are saying when it comes to odds to win the Super Bowl. But when you consider history, when you take everything into consideration that we know about this particular team I'm about to discuss, you'll understand why it's a genius or idiot prediction. The Bills are going to reach the Super Bowl. And it sounds like a boring pick until you remember how many times we've talked about it during the Josh Allen era, that this is the year, this is the time, look at this team. Buffalo is tied again for the second shortest championship odds. I think the last time I checked, they're 10-1, and then Seattle's 11-1. The Rams are 5-1 to win it all. But I actually think this is the year. I feel like this is the year for the Buffalo Bills, led by Josh Allen, to reach the Super Bowl. And if they get there, I would not be shocked at all if they won it, Sam. I honestly feel that way. The coaching change with Josh, it's amazing. You're Bills fan number one, and you look skeptical. But you look more than skeptical. But I think the Buffalo Bills to reach the Super Bowl is the way I want to go for genius prediction. And I think at the end, we're going to be calling me a genius because I actually think they're a Super Bowl team this year.
I have never hoped more to call you a genius. The reason that I looked the way I did is because of exactly what you said. I'm a Bills fan. I've just seen this movie so many times before and seen so many people make, this is the year. Oh, well, they're finally going to make it this year. And then another loss in the AFC Championship game. So I hope, dollars to donuts, my goodness, that the Bills make it and win it this year. I hope that we are playing this thing back in February and March and April and May, and we're going to play it back. Oh, you're going to have to bleep that one out. You're going to have to play this thing back all summer long if the Buffalo Bills win the Super Bowl.
That was about the most honest thing I've ever heard you say in the history of this show. And it's because you thought you were on the Pat McAfee show and could just start dropping swear words. I think that is fantastic. The other one that there was a runner-up, and only because we still got about 90 seconds here. There was a runner-up for this. And in looking at the odds for the Super Bowl, when I was doing this exercise on the Bills, I said it would not also shock me if a team further down the line wins the Super Bowl this year. Because if you don't believe it's the Rams, then it is wide open to a team that just gets in. San Francisco's outside the top 10 in Super Bowl odds. Cincinnati's outside the top 10 in Super Bowl. If you believe in that Cincinnati defense being just good enough, then Cincinnati is there. If you believe Denver is now the team to beat in the AFC West, Denver is there. All the smoke on the Dallas Cowboys that we're getting right now, if you believe in that, Dallas is outside the top 10. Green Bay, is this the year Jordan Love makes that quantum leap? I mean, there's a lot of teams when you get down into that 20-1 area, 18, 19, 20 to 1, that are, basically long shots to win the Super Bowl, that if you don't believe it's the Rams, Sam, it could be one of those teams. You got 5 seconds.
Like I said on the show when the Rams traded for Myles Garrett, the inevitable often doesn't win.
Yeah, we've talked about that. More NFL news to get to next. We're having some fun on the NFL today. We've done buy, sell, and hold. We gave our genius or idiot predictions. And Sam thought he was on the Pat McAfee show and decided to just start swearing. What's going on here? What are we doing? What's going on? Sam Yarnell, there is news to get to from the NFL from Wednesday into this Thursday edition of the show. And it kind of, some of it plays in a little bit to some of the stuff we've already talked about. And, you know, we all suspected last year watching Lamar Jackson, especially late in the second half of the year. You heard everybody say it. He's not running. He's just not running the football. And he's not using that element of his game, his legs. And a lot of us questioned whether it was because of the injuries that he had sustained. And he came out yesterday and said that is the case. And if you have a Lamar Jackson, and I almost put the Ravens in that hold area when we were doing buy, sell, hold. I that was one of the teams I had in contention. I had like 3 different teams, and they were one that I had in contention as a hold. And it was because this is a make or break year, it feels like, for Lamar Jackson when you talk about his future with that organization. So to me, him coming out and saying, and basically throwing it out there that, you know, he was hurt in the second half of the year, obviously, and that's why he didn't run the football as much. He's basically telling all of you, I'm back. I'm going to run the football more this year. I'm going to use my legs some more this year. And that is certainly an intriguing proposition if you are a fan of the Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah, I think the Ravens are going to be well off with Jesse Minter there. Listen, the John Harbaugh thing, I think, and it's because of the respect that the Harbaugh family gets in the community, but like the John Harbaugh thing was severely like under talked about. The Ravens blatantly chose Lamar Jackson over the Super Bowl winning head coach of that organization. Now, that should tell you 2 things. One of 2 things, right? It either tells you that Lamar Jackson is the rare going to be a career Raven. Like the Ravens organization is just so enamored with him, they're literally willing to fire anybody for Lamar Jackson. Or the other side of this, which is that something's up with John Harbaugh. Something's up with John Harbaugh, whether it was with him and Lamar or whether it's the game of football passing him by. I don't know, obviously. But it takes a lot for an organization to get rid of John Harbaugh, the guy, again, who won them a Super Bowl, who is a part of the Kennedy family of football, right? The Harbaugh family. Right. It takes a lot for an organization to not only get rid of that guy for a young up and coming mind, right? In Jesse Minter, a guy, the new classic head coach track where you go coordinator, bounce around a bunch, get on a really good offense and then take a head coaching job, or get on a really good unit, I should say, and then take a head coaching job. It's very interesting, and it's one storyline that I'm going to be paying very special attention to this year, is not only the relationship, the Lamar Jackson Ravens, but Lamar Jackson Jesse Minter relationship. It's the dichotomy of that and what goes on with John Harbaugh, not only with him and Jackson Dart, with Jackson Dart running the football, but also with John Harbaugh in the game of football, with John Harbaugh and the rest of the league. I'm very interested to see how that relationship kind of plays out over the course of the season, Jason. And I think that honestly gives us a lot more of an answer as to what happened with Lamar last year.
The odds on, and there are places that offer these sorts of odds on Lamar Jackson's rushing yards this year. Right now, depending on the book, DraftKings has it at $5.99, BetMGM 5.99.5, BetMGM has it at 5.75.5. If I gave that to you and said you have to pick it, I'm taking the over. If he's healthy, I'm taking the over on it, Sam.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing with all the, if you go through most props, you'll find, if you're betting season-long props out there, folks, you will find that your general inclination is to bet the over. And that is, the books do that intentionally. They generally do set the number just a tick lower than it really should be to try and entice people to come bet these preseason futures, right? These season-long yardage totals and whatever. The problem with that always ends up being he misses a game because of a hamstring strain, or they don't end up playing him in as many games as they did last year because they're in a different playoff circumstance, or whatever the case may be. It's really hard for me to take season-long overs in terms of yardage props. So I would probably look at that 600.5 and go under. But yeah, again, if I have to bet it one way or another, I'll bet the 600.5 under, just because I'll take the chance that Lamar deals with another injury, or Jesse Minter struggles and the Ravens fall out of it and don't start him for the last 2 games.
I also think he feels like now he's got something to prove, and to be able to prove that it's me, it's not Harbaugh. You know, and I think he's going to come out. I wouldn't be shocked if we're talking about an MVP type season for Lamar Jackson in 2026. Sam, there's not going to be a Pro Bowl anymore, or Pro Bowl games. I mean, color me shocked? No. I mean, this isn't surprising at all to me. I'm curious to sort of get your take on sort of the first one that officially goes away. You know, I brought this up on the show weeks ago that I thought eventually we're going to get to a point where there's just not going to be all-star games, maybe other than baseball. I just don't think there's going to be any all-star games, and this is sort of the beginning of it.
I thought they stopped doing the Pro Bowl years ago, if we're being honest. Like the Pro Bowl of all, like, I know all-star games have gotten bad. Yeah. They've gotten really bad. The Pro Bowl was by far the worst. Like, it wasn't even close. This was kind of a necessary step. The one thing that shocked, 88 players. We're naming 88 players Pro Bowl honorees. Good Lord. That's more than like 5% of the league.
It's going to be longer than the Academy Awards, that ceremony. Sam Yarnell, we'll see you later. We're coming back. More to do. Welcome back to the show. Odds and Ends wraps it up in 10 minutes with news from LIV Golf that is not good news. But then again, has there been any really good news for LIV Golf here over the last week and a half? Probably not. Scott O'Neil is trying to hold that thing together with duct tape and Elmer's glue right now. We'll get into that. Also, a couple other NFL notes before we send you on your way. So, I debated whether to even do this story in the fifth segment of the show today. I've really kind of battled and struggled with this dilemma of how to handle this guy, Enes Kanter, and his shenanigans, his need for attention, his trolling of the WNBA, because this is what he wants. He wants me to go on television on 270 plus stations around the U.S. and Canada. He wants me on that wall. He needs me on that wall. He wants me on that TV sitting here condemning his behavior and, going back after him for the way he's behaved at a WNBA game recently in Chicago, where he was ejected and eventually banned by the Chicago Sky from ever attending another Chicago Sky game unless he fixes his behavior. And I don't know how you fix stupid or fix ignorant. But Enes Kanter now has taken this whole thing that took place the other night, on Sunday night rather, with the Chicago Sky and Indiana Fever playing. And he was ejected after getting into it with Natasha Cloud as he was wearing this shirt courtside. A couple of fans said he was taunting Natasha Cloud. Another fan said he wasn't. You can read into that what you want. But Enes Kanter has now sent a list of demands. I can only imagine what Kathy Engelbert must have been thinking when she saw this. Enes Kanter has sent a list of 5 specific demands and questions to the WNBA. Here's what he's asking for. 1, he wants to explain what rule allowed him to be treated differently. He wants them to identify a policy, rule, or directive the league relied upon if he was treated differently because he expressed a viewpoint that the WNBA considered unpopular. Then he wants to know who ordered his ejection. He wants to know whether the decision came from the WNBA, the Chicago Sky, Wintrust Arena, security, or somebody else. Then he's going back after Natasha Cloud. And he wants to know if Natasha Cloud, he wants confirmation or some sort of clarification on whether or not that confrontation with Natasha Cloud is being reviewed under league rules because of the way she interacted with him as a fan, and what accountability she might face for her role in that sort of scene that played out on Sunday night. He wants a refund of his courtside tickets. I mean, really? Really, Enes Kanter? You didn't make enough money in your career? And he wants all the evidence preserved. Now, I run through all that, and it is to say that the WNBA should absolutely ignore him. Because if he wants to try and play this out in a court of law and go and politic on Fox News, which is what he's doing, this is all for the Fox News crowd. He just wants to be accepted. It's the Sage Steele sort of route to acceptance. Well, at least 30% of America will accept me, because it's not even half. You got to remember, there's 20 to 30%, maybe 20% that operate on the fringes, on the far right and the far left politically in America. And then there's the 60% of us in the middle, which is the majority, that are left to sort of try and figure it out based on what you're getting from the Fox News crowd, what you're getting from the far right crowd, and then trying to figure out what it is in the middle and having to make sense of it all. And Enes Kanter is trying to cater to and placate that far right crowd. And he claims, saw him on Hannity recently. He's been doing the rounds. He was on with Laura Ingraham, and he's doing the rounds. And by the way, I've appeared on Fox News. So before anybody says, oh, you're just going after that, I've appeared on Fox News. I've appeared on Newsmax. I've appeared on MS Now. I've appeared on CNN. I appear on all of them because that's how I approach things. I have enough of an open mind that I'll talk to anybody. I haven't seen Enes Kanter on CNN or MS Now or any of those places. So you know who he's trying to placate and cater to. And he was on with, I believe, Sean Hannity, and he said the same thing essentially to Laura Ingraham, which is, if they just state what a woman is, which eliminates me from being able to claim womanhood and being able to make myself eligible for the WNBA draft, even though the league has already said he can't make himself eligible for the WNBA draft, then Enes Kanter says he will drop this whole thing and walk away from it gladly. So he's basically trying to hold the league hostage with bad PR, both for him and ultimately the WNBA. And in the final minute here, I'm going to say something. And it's not going to be viewed popularly by those who really like the WNBA, love the WNBA, and hate what he's doing. And here it is. If you're the WNBA, stop messing around with this issue. Stop wasting time on this issue. And come out and state your policy when it comes to trans females playing in the WNBA. And I'm on the record saying that policy should be trans females will not be allowed to play in the WNBA. And all of this goes away. And I know it looks like you're placating Enes Kanter, but what you're doing is the same thing as somebody who settles a case even though they're not guilty. You're just getting rid of it. You're making it go away. And if the WNBA is smart right now, they make this go away. We're coming back with odds and ends to wrap up this Thursday edition of Sports Wrap. Welcome back to the show. Getting set to put the wraps on this baby for a Thursday. Tomorrow, College Football Week 0 preview. We'll have some picks. Have some fun. NASCAR visits Daytona for the finale of the regular season of NASCAR before the chase begins. Brian Twining will be here to talk about that from Bleacher Nation. Give us some picks. Looking forward to that conversation. Bubba Wallace almost got a win last week. He's certainly in good position to make the playoffs after a second-place finish to Ryan Blaney. So we'll talk to Brian about that. and a whole bunch more on the show. But before we go, a couple of reminders. If you haven't done so yet, make sure to check out the Sports Wrap with Jason Page podcast, the audio version of this show, available Monday through Friday, wherever you get your podcasts. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube Podcasts, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Odyssey, Amazon, anywhere you get a podcast, you can listen to this show, crystal clear audio, Monday through Friday, 45 minutes, limited commercial interruptions. It works great as an audio companion, just as it does on TV or on YouTube or in the clips of the show that you see on social media. Go and check out the podcast. Subscribe today. The Sports Wrap with Jason Page YouTube channel is the place to find all things Sports Wrap with Jason Page. The Monday through Friday TV version of the show is available on our YouTube channel. 45 minutes commercial-free, waiting for you every afternoon. We've also got clips from the show, extended conversations from the show. All of that and a whole bunch more on the Sports Wrap with Jason Page YouTube channel. We encourage you to check that out. We've also got Sports Wrap Originals. Did I already say that? I might have. Sports Wrap Shorts are also there. 1 to 3 minute long vertical videos. When news breaks, we jump in on the YouTube channel with Sports Wrap Shorts. Again, all of that available on the YouTube channel. Sports Wrap with Jason Page website, sportswrap.tv, is the place to find everything I just mentioned and more. Sportswrap.tv for all of that, plus access to the daily newsletter, the Substack daily newsletter, easy for me to say. It's called the Daily Wrap. You could have it delivered to your email every day. Every afternoon it comes to you. We encourage you to go and subscribe to that. It's a fantastic newsletter on all the big things we are talking about, the Daily Wrap. We also have a spot where you can send us your comments, your complaints, your love, your hate, your criticism, anything you want to send at the bottom of the Sports Wrap website, sportswrap.tv. Go and check it out. All right, without any further delay, on this Thursday edition of the show, it's time for some odds and ends. Odds and ends, it certainly feels like the end is near for LIV Golf. It's interminably bad right now for the Renegade League that tried taking on the PGA Tour. And look, there were a lot of people that backed this thing when they saw the Saudi PIF was behind it, because they had limitless resources, endless money. They could just drill, baby, drill, and go get all the money they wanted to make this thing successful. Ultimately, when the Saudi PIF backed out, we all kind of felt like the writing was on the wall for the end of LIV Golf. And now they canceled their final event of the season. They trimmed things down. They owe money to people. And while Scott O'Neill, the CEO of LIV Golf, is doing everything he can to hold this thing together, it feels like it is perilously close to going away altogether. Now they've laid off a bunch of people. A bunch of staffers are being let go from LIV Golf. The good news is the season is over, and they do have time to find the investor that could save this thing if they could get their ducks in a row here over the next couple of months. There is still time for them to save it. But I don't know who that white knight is that jumps in to save LIV Golf at this point, because anybody who's watched it to this point knows it's just a mediocre product with a few big names attached to it, played at all different spots around the world without any real media rights deal to help feed it financially. Where's the upside? I need to know. And Scott O'Neill, you're welcome on the show anytime. We're friends on LinkedIn. You're welcome on the show. Explain to me, Scott O'Neill, how an investor is going to make his money on this thing. Because it can't be simply John Rahm, Dustin Thomas, and Bryson DeChambeau. You're going to need more than that. And I don't know how you get anything more than that, because the PGA Tour has upped its game in terms of what it's giving people and giving golfers as an incentive to stay. So I think it's the end for LIV Golf. If I had a yes or no bet on whether or not there is LIV Golf next year, I'd guess the yes would probably be plus 1,000, and the minus would probably be somewhere around the same. And good luck trying to figure it out. Again, they laid off a bunch of people. Leonard Williams gets a deal, an extension from the Seattle Seahawks, that is well-deserved. Congratulations to him. Cedric Tillman let go as roster cuts start to take place around the NFL. The Browns letting him go as far as their receiving core is concerned. I don't know who Deshaun Watson's throwing the ball to after Jerry Jeudy. There's no David Njoku there. And I just don't know how either he or Deshaun Watson are set up to succeed in this scenario for the Cleveland Browns that currently exists. It does make me openly wonder if they're tanking. If their goal is to just be as bad as possible and then go after one of the quarterbacks in this upcoming class, whether that's Arch Manning or take your QB of choice. It's going to do it for us on the show. Thank you to Sam Yarnell. Thanks to all of you at home for watching. We'll see you back here on a Friday edition of Sports Wrap. Until then, I'm Jason Page. Bye-bye.